Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Williams. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Williams. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Williams, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. You know what today is all about? Today is a continuation. I don't know if you guys watched our KPFT 90.1 FM Pacifica Network show yesterday on air. It was on 90.1 FM in Houston, but of course we simulcast it on Facebook, Periscope, and all the other platforms as well. But I want to make this sort of a continuation of that show about the economic collapse that we started to speak about. Now, let me tell you, at our on-air station, KPFT 90.1, as it turns out, for a long time we were on Fund Drive, and given that during that time a lot of our people don't get to call in and speak to the host and all of that kind of stuff, I felt sort of guilty and felt that it was necessary for me to do less talking. In other words, let those phones ring. And let me tell you, brothers and sisters, did they ring yesterday? So if you get a chance to go back and look at some of our podcasts from yesterday, do it, because I tell you what, it's pretty cool, because people called left and right. The calls just kept coming. And you know what? That is a good thing, because I tell you, what we want to do is we want to have a program where people interact. And you know, this is a call-in show as well. And it seems like I don't have that on the screen, but the call-in number for this show is 646-716-5812. Again, that number is 646-716-5812. As I get a few things ready here, what I'm trying to do right now is connect to the YouTube folks as well, because what I want to make sure to start doing is making sure that we talk to all our people across all platforms. And what we did is we went ahead and got a messenger program that came with our multi-streamer that allows us to do just that. So as I get all of that together and try to talk and try to be a producer and try to be an engineer and all these things at the same time, bear with me. I can talk, I can chat, I can do all these things all at one time. Anyhow, welcome aboard, everybody. Let me tell you. Hi all. Hi, Kathleen Marin Morgan from Scituate, Massachusetts. And I know I just bastardized that name, but you know that I do that with a whole lot of names. But you know what? In my case, a lot of people bastardize Egberto as well. So it's not too bad. But anyhow, I have my multi-streamer up now, so we should be kind of okay. And I'm almost ready to get my last paste done. And then when I'm done with that, I can say, guys, we did it, and we are on to the races. So what do I want to talk about today? Yesterday, the topic of the discussion was economic collapse. So let's go ahead and get the show started this way. What I'm going to do is go ahead and pull it up, and here we go. The title of the show today is, "This is what an economic collapse looked like in slow motion." And I really mean that. I am not kidding. Whenever people hear me talk about economic collapse and these sort of issues, many people think that I'm just being not crazy, but talking about, oh, that is really not going to happen, or you're just saying those things. The reality is this: I want folks to be prepared for exactly what I'm talking about, because the truth of the matter is we are in for it. I was reading an article earlier today that alluded to this as much, about this pending economic collapse. And a lot of people are still having a hard time believing that this is a distinct possibility. It is not. And what I want to do, and notice today what I said is it's in slow motion. So the subtitle is, this is part 2 of yesterday's discussion on our economic collapse. For those of you who are just joining in, a batch just came in. This is a continuation of the program from yesterday. You won't miss anything because a lot of the things we couldn't go over yesterday because we had so many callers who wanted specific answers on issues and they wanted to bring up their point of views, and we wanted to open the phones up yesterday at KPFT on air because there are a lot of people in their cars that they were calling in and et cetera, so we wanted to do that. But you can call in here as well, 646-716-5812. Again, that number is 646-716-5812. So, the economic collapse. Yesterday's show started the discussion about the economic collapse being managed in a deceptive fashion, a stealth manner. Today I will point to different aspects of the current economy and how it continues to zap wealth and free labor from the masses. Please make sure to watch and share these videos because we are not going to get these conversations either in the debates, and I'm going to a debate party today. I hope to get some interviews from people at the debate party to see what they think about their Democratic candidates. But we're not going to get, look, I am going to watch the debate. I expect nothing substantive out of those debates. I expect the only person that's going to have something very substantive is probably on immigration by one of the brothers, former mayor of San Antonio, and from Elizabeth Warren. I do not expect much of substance from anybody else of the 10 that out there today. And it's interesting because one of Elizabeth Warren's postulations, or one of her policies, is about free tuition, free college, on paying back debt and that sort of stuff. And today, a very good friend of mine, a professional, a true progressive, gave me pause, and I'm not going to say anything other than that about that particular policy. I'm going to go read her policy in detail and read his article in detail, and likely that will make up the bulk. His article likely make up the bulk, the genesis of my Sunday article, Sunday front page article at Daily Coast. So we'll be preparing for that. But he's completely against the policy that says pay off all the student debts, etc. And he makes some very, very good, a very good case for it. And I have to study that and see what my position is going to be. Like I've always said, for me, positions are not something you hold on to. Positions are something that you hold on to until it has to change based on facts that come out there and based on you being able to convince one that there is a better way. And if we could all take that position, I'm getting into the show right now, but I want to use this as a sort of a teaching moment. I was 100% for paying off all college tuitions, 100%. For anybody who took out a student loan and whatever, let it be paid off, because we know the banking system is crooked. We also know that education should be a right. I mean, when we educate people, the corporate structure uses that education, and if it is all of us who are paying for it, that means you have shareholders that are making money on what we've paid for to make them money on what we've invested in. And people say, you invested in yourself. Yeah, we did. But they are also making money off of it, so they should brunt a bigger share of that. So I had no problems paying it off until he made some very distinct arguments. And I listened to those arguments that he made, and I'm not going to talk about them now because I want to digest these things a bit more. But it immediately changed my focus. It immediately changed the way I think. And it immediately told me that I had to re-examine my position. I wish, the reason I'm going on this boring little subject here is I would like others to start thinking that way. Don't be wedded to your position. Don't be completely wedded to your position. Allow yourself the freedom to think and not believe that changing your mind, or not changing your mind, but after being exposed to new ideas, to have any bad feelings about it. Hell, if you have a new idea that's better. And the same applies to me for Medicare for All. I'm going to always call it Medicare for All because I want Medicare for All. But if somebody tells me, hey, this particular piece would work better this way, I will definitely explore it. But please don't try to give me crap and pass it on as somehow this is better. So going back to the show, today's show title, for all those folks that are just coming in now, today's show is titled, This is What an Economic System Collapse Looks Like in Slow Motion. Subtitled, this part 2 of yesterday's discussion on our economic collapse. So how exactly is it collapsing and what's the answer? The economic collapse, yesterday's show was about that. We're going into it. Independent progressive media needs your support. I need to run into this 1.5 minute dialogue. So stay with me, everybody that's here, please. And please bring more in. Please share this stuff like you have not shared before. But I need to make an immediate plea right now. I need to make an immediate plea right now. And it goes like this. I am a part of the independent media. I'm not only a part of the independent media, I'm out there, as you can understand, trying to get other people to think progressively, fact-based progressivism, and talking about things that the mainstream media cannot speak about. It's not that they're bad, but they cannot speak about it. It's the same thing that Tom Hartman does to an audience. It's the same thing that that's Free Speech TV does. It's the same thing that TYT does, and all these other progressive media. That's what we're doing, and that's what we're tasked to do. And stay with me, folks. I'm coming to the subject at hand in a minute, but I need you. I need to make this plea to you. We work hard. You work hard. We all work hard as progressives. We all have our channels that we decided to work in. In doing this, all of this has to be to make this successful. All of this has to be paid for. And one of the things that has not been happening for progressive media recently, and this is not only politics done right, this is Free Speech TV. Free Speech TV has only collected 20% as of last week of what it needs to collect to function. And the same is applying to many others. Common Dream sent out an email last night, and the email said, we are constantly getting bombarded with people saying, give us $3 or give us $2 or give us this or give us $10 a month or whatever. And he said, the person said, I'm no longer going to listen to read Common Dreams because you're constantly asking for money. And he says, there are two ways folks are going to stop watching or reading Common Dreams. One is if Common Dreams cannot afford to be a website anymore that provide an alternative messaging, or if people continue and start contributing. So, I mean, that's the same thing I'm going to say here, and that is I'm going to ask folks to please remember that we do, I work 14 hours a day doing this, cutting up videos, researching, going out to venues, and all of that. It's really 14 hours a day. If you doubt it, ask my wife about being a lot of times feeling discounted because of the amount of work that we put into this project, this needed project. This is something that has to occur. 7 days a week, 14 days a week. Last week I took a 5-hour break to go out with some friends. So I want to ask you to please consider contributing. It starts at $1.99 a month if you decide to be a subscriber. Donate anything. Subscribe at patreon.com/politicsdoneright. That is where you can subscribe at $1.99 a month. Or if you want to do more, we have better options for those people who can and will do more. Donate at politicsdoneright.com/donate. Again, that is donate at politicsdoneright.com/donate. Or go to our store at politicsdoneright.com. Store.politicsdoneright.com. We also have, and by the way, everybody who subscribes gets immediate access to As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, which is a book that I wrote. You learn everything you need to learn about the economy. And likewise, I'm currently writing How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It. And that particular book, as I write a chapter, I'm on chapter 4 now. Chapter 3 is already out there. Again, I hate doing this. I hate spending 5 minutes of this time to ask you to contribute to the work that we are doing to make sure that we can get this stuff done. But I have to. I have no choice to do this. Now, one other option, again, is we have a GoFundMe going, and I'd ask you to go to GoFundMe.com, GoFundMe.com, and the address for the GoFundMe is independent-media-upgrade. So it's GoFundMe.com/independent-media Dash upgrade. It's right at the top of your screen right there. We are going to get into the program now, but I have to ask you one more time, take that screen and please contribute at one of those areas or at our GoFundMe. It's utterly necessary for us to continue doing what we're doing. Okay, back to the program. Now, yesterday I made the case that we are in an economic collapse. And what I wanted to tell people, first of all, is don't blame this on Donald Trump. Donald Trump is not going to be, Donald Trump is just going to exacerbate our economic collapse, but it's not the fault of Donald Trump. Donald Trump was not smart enough to cause an economic collapse. Donald Trump does not have enough money to engineer an economic collapse. Donald Trump does not have the intellect to foment, to create an economic collapse. He's not very smart. He's a hell of a salesperson. And at times I never wanted to give him the kudos for being a salesperson, but Donald Trump knows the button to push on enough people to make himself continually viable. And Donald Trump will be the president for another 4 years if all our people don't start getting the messaging, not from our mainstream media, not from the Democratic Party, because the Democratic Party is playing a message. Democratic Party is trying to play prevent defense because the polls say that Donald Trump is going to lose. Prevent defense never or rarely ever wins, and we cannot play prevent defense. So there are two things we have to do. We have to make sure that Americans are educated to what's really happening in our economic system. That's number one, right? And number two, we have to stop addressing Donald Trump as being the most important issue or somehow being the person causing all our problems. Because the truth of the matter, friends, is Donald Trump is, yes, he's a symptom, but he's far away. Wow, I got a lot of messages here. But he's far away, and I'm going to get to you guys in a minute. But Donald Trump is far away. You're right, Bruce, no war. It's far away, not the fault. And also people break, oh, Donald Trump is the fault of the evangelicals who created Donald Trump. The evangelicals are not to be blamed for Donald Trump. The evangelicals are using Donald Trump for all the things that they need. There's nothing religious or Christian about evangelicals. I participated in a panel last night at Fish, Grits, and Politics at the what is it called? The Breakfast Club. And it's going to be on air. I think they're going to be playing it on Facebook tomorrow sometime. And that is what I wanted to get in the ethos. It's the people, it's we who elected Donald Trump, including those of us who did not vote at all, or those of us who voted for the best Democrat, we just didn't do our job. And that goes for progressive media, myself, and all the other, and TYT, and all these other guys that are doing progressive media. We did not give the urgency, and we did not have enough faith in people that we could provide information in an educated manner. We didn't make the case. We didn't make the case for Medicare for all. We didn't make the case for the fraud that is the gig economy. We didn't make the case for how the internet could be used to change people, how the internet could be used as a fraudulent device. And we didn't do any of that effectively. Hillary Clinton was offered to use, to get somebody in-house to use Facebook just like Donald Trump used it. And she did not. So there's so much blame to go around throughout this entire system that created Donald Trump, number one. But the collapse of our economy started with the election of Ronald Reagan on a lie. And the interesting thing about it is, I present in my book, as I see it, Class Warfare: The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, and that's this book right here. In this book, I presented the exact reason, and it would be nice if I should have just kind of bookmarked it here. I actually call the politics, the part that, the chapter, The Presidents, Voodoo Economics, Genesis of Our Demise. That is what I call that chapter. And you know what, I should read part of that chapter for you, because everybody is currently blaming Donald Trump. And I want to read something that I said then, and it went like this. Ronald Reagan, the messiah of the right wing, was in the right place at the right time. Though a young teenager in 1976, I remember being engaged in the 1976 election. After all, my father, a fanatic of U.S. politics, had taped the congressional hearings on most of my cassette tapes, so I was well aware of the corruption that was President Nixon. But it turned out that President Reagan looked pretty good. Now, he came out. America bought it. I mean, while running against Ronald Reagan in the primaries, George Bush Sr. referred to his plan as voodoo economics. George Bush Sr. was right about Ronald Reagan when he won the primary. George Bush Sr. sold his soul and became Ronald Reagan's vice president. Again, Bush number one was right all along, voodoo economics. He understood what it meant. Voodoo economics, he knew what it meant. He was not playing. Continuing with my book, this is what I said. America bought it. Ultimately, Reagan won the election and laid the defining map to ensure the ultimate demise of America. So you can see this, when I wrote this book, Trump wasn't even a thought then, okay? The demise of America. And then I continue. I do believe the intellectuals in the right wing knew exactly what the outcome would be. The pilfering of the middle class. The two major tenets of the supply side economic practiced by Ronald Reagan, lower taxes that went disproportionately to the rich and free trade, could only lower the standard of living of working Americans as they compete with slave labor and unregulated markets abroad. By definition, free markets equalizes labor force pricing, and the effects are readily visible. I wrote this during back then. Okay, that is the explanation that I gave back then, and all of it is still present. Donald Trump didn't change that. Barack Obama didn't change that. President Reagan, like most in the right wing, believes in supply-side economics. The reality is that supply-side economics is nothing more than a religion. Unlike most religion, it is designed to categorically maximize the wealth of those with capital and the ability to move capital. The basic tenet of supply-side economics is that if you lower taxes on capital gains, other investments, as well as dramatically cut regulation on business, that miraculously business will do the right thing to create products and services that people would want. Additionally, this philosophy distinctly supports unfettered free markets. In the process, somehow tax revenues would increase to cover the lost revenue from the tax cuts. As an engineer who believes solely in numbers, I remain baffled by academic institutions that allow this to be taught. The fallacy that increased taxes necessarily depresses an economy, or that lower taxes automatically increase economic activity, makes absolutely no sense. What matters is in every case is how revenue is spent. It doesn't matter. It's only about how revenue is spent. That is what determines economic activity. Money does not know who spends it, government or private corporations or individuals. If the expenditure is multiplicative, increased economic activity occurs, period. Now, I go on and I give a whole lot of other issues, so it's too long to read here because that's not the subject. What I wanted to show you, though, is that way back when I wrote this book, Donald Trump wasn't even a thought process. We weren't even thinking about Donald Trump. And by then I was already saying that this economy was dead. The policies instituted by Reagan killed us. And when Bush number two came in, he did nothing but maintain it some. Yes, he did raise some taxes a bit, which was a good thing, and Clinton continued it to give the semblance of a balanced budget, but we still had a humongous debt. We had a balanced budget that was not going to remain like that, given the automatic increases of different mandatory spending that we had. It was never going to happen. Bush comes in and he destroys it even further by cutting even more. And then we had Obama that came in to some extent with timid type tax increases. And then, of course, when he lost the Senate and the Congress, it was status quo. Nothing changed of substance changed, but always defining a budget by how much we need to cut. And then comes Donald Trump, and he He savages the budget by cutting taxes that goes directly to the wealthy, does very little for the middle class, and we start to fall again. But those are not the only headwinds that we have. Those are not the only things that are causing the market to collapse. Let me give some examples here. I earlier mentioned the gig economy, fraud of frauds. Let's talk about the gig economy. Let's talk about the fraud of frauds. Many of you, I don't know if you listened to a video that I did. I should have queued that video up, but I didn't. With a Uber driver. This Uber driver, I was sitting in Starbucks in Montrose, and this Uber driver was talking to one of the baristas, and he's complaining about he's no longer driving Uber anymore because, in effect, he was working for them and killing himself. And I'm blogging, getting ready for my show at KPFT, and then, he piqued my ears. It's interesting, as I had my video, my music on, but he was so loud, I heard it through that, and I took it off because I thought I heard him say Uber and something else, and I said, hey, what's going on? And then he gave me a story. I said, hold on, don't tell me the story now. Tell me the story on a video that I can put out there, because that's what we do. We talk to real people, and not only talk to real people, we want to know what's going on in real people's life. In other words, it's not Stephanopoulos that's talking from a high ground and, oh, well, we hear through the grapevine that this is what's going on in America. We go ahead and we talk to people. I have a person that I spoke to about what it was like being incarcerated that I'm cleaning up that video to get put out. We talk to real people. What's really, really happening in America? I was talking to my wife the other day and told her I was going to, go ahead and get a GoFundMe to get a van, and I'm going to ride through next year, ride through the entire United States of America to really talk to people. And I'm talking about going into Appalachia and all these places so that we can actually see on the ground what people are really thinking in real time. And get that out there, away from the mainstream media who are not doing this. But anyway, we go ahead and we talk about the gig economy, the fraud that it is. So what exactly do we mean that the fraud of the gig economy? So this guy goes ahead and he gave me an interview and he says, I go ahead and I drive for Uber. I have to wait for these rides. And as more people join Uber and more people join Uber, the prices keep falling. We have to have a good car. We have to have good insurance. We have to have all these things. And then we have the gas prices that are fluctuating back and forth. And then he said, Uber have all these specials, and we have to honor all of this. And then he says, and when you before you figure out the wear and tear on your car, he said, by the time I put all these numbers into my spreadsheet, I was averaging about $3.25 an hour, or something to that effect he was telling me. In other words, here we are talking about the freedom of the gig economy. Stay home and you can do this. You have Fiverr and you have all these different things where people make money. What they forget to tell you about all these great things that's where you make money is that if you are making a lot of money on Fiverr, you don't have a corporation that is out there putting money away in a retirement plan. You don't have somebody that's subsidizing your health care, which they get it already at subsidized prices. You don't get any of these things out of the gig economy, right? The gig economy it's on you, baby. You have your full independence, but even with your full independence, you cannot be independent because it costs you. We have so many requirements that we put on you to work for us to get a menial return on your independence. So that goes with Uber. That goes for the food delivery services that you have, where people may make $5 for every delivery, irrespective of what they're doing. There are so many of these. Bezos is now giving, to show you how lucrative it is, Bezos is giving $10,000 and a truck, and you go ahead and you deliver in your local area for Amazon. Wow. And everybody see that $10,000 and they gravitate to it. They sign a contract that's probably, I haven't seen a contract, but that contract is definitely in favor of Amazon. And then you go do your thing, right? People, the gig economy would be good if we had Medicare for all. The gig economy would be good if we had free tuition. The gig economy, if we had all these services that we asked for, that people really want. Let me tell you how a gig economy makes sense, people. A gig economy makes sense if we have Medicare for all. A gig economy makes sense if we have free tuition for our kids who, while we are gigging, we know that even though we don't make all that money, they will be able to go to college. A gig economy makes sense if we have good child care, because while we're doing our thing, right? While we're doing our thing, in the gig economy says, guess what? You don't have to worry about the child while you are out there gigging. There are a lot of things, folks, that the gig economy would make sense if you had a good social safety net, right? But the corporations don't want you to have a safety net because they will, first of all, have to really woo you for the job. And number two, they will be making less money for their shareholders and the execs. It's a sort of fraudulent selfishness. A fraudulent selfishness that's the epitome of this economic system. Yeah, a gig economy given independence make a lot of sense if you have all those support networks provided by government, by we the people. Then it makes sense. Everybody pays into it, because if you're in the gig economy and you made a lot of money, you're going to pay a lot of taxes. If you're in the gig economy and you made a little bit of money, you'll pay a little bit of taxes. But every single person in there would have the right to good health care, would have the right to have their kids in daycare, would have the right to have their kids who needs to go to college, go to college. There are ways to make things good. There are ways to make things good. A gig economy can work. A gig economy could make corporations more efficient. All of that is good. It's true. But what I call an extractive economy is fraudulent for us all. An extractive economy is fraudulent for us all. I mean, they talk about education. I spoke about, a lot of these folks say, well, let the person go educate themselves. In other words, if you want a college education, you go ahead and you do the full investment. You pay for all your college yourself. And then you go work for Exxon or one of the big corporations, right? And then based on the salary that they pay you, you can pay back your student loan, your whatever it cost you to go to school. And right off the top of your head, that may sound good. I want to better myself, so I should pay to better myself. Now, if you are paying to better yourself, to be an engineer who's going to work for yourself and create your own products and profit from your own products, that makes a lot of sense. But if you're Exxon and Shell and all these other corporations who depend on the intellect of others to survive, who depend on the intellect of others to grow, who depend on the intellect of others to be. And I'm just talking to be. Exxon cannot exist without a staff of engineers, without all these people who are performing. There ain't no Exxon, there ain't no any of this without an educated workforce, right? So if you don't have an educated workforce, your shareholders, the people who own the company, they cannot do squat. So here's the deal. Why is it, folks, that we have such a hard time just saying things the way that they are? If you want to have a workforce, pay for it. Corporations want to have an educated workforce, pay for it. Don't ask the state to pay for it when at the same time you're getting tax breaks. Don't ask the individual to pay for it when it is their intellect that you're dependent on. And if you take a look at drug companies, it's the same thing as well. We, as the American citizens, we go ahead and invest billions of dollars in giving universities scholarships, giving universities funding to develop all these great drugs. And as soon as these drugs seem like they have the potential of success, I mean, they all won't, but as soon as they have the possibility of success, these universities sell it off for cheap, little stipend here or there, because it's a racket, right? It is a racket, an individual racket, not a societal racket. An individual within universities racket to the drug companies. The drug companies get it. They may give somebody a position on the staff or whatever. And all that government-funded research go to the private company. You've paid for it. And then, when they start making billions in profits, you know, I would allow these guys to make billions in profits if the percentage of the development cost that the government incurred were returned as their return on investment. But do you think they would ever say that? Do you think they would ever do that? No, because they're extractive. They're evil. They only want what is for them. It is a selfish issue. Now, most Americans don't understand that. And that's why the drug companies can come out. And I'm going to Medicare for All next because the biggest fraud of all is starting to occur on TV now. And if we as progressives, and if all of you that are listening right now don't join the fray and do the job, it can't be just politics done right by itself. It has to be politics done right, blown up by all of what you can do within your own social media sphere. That's going to change this. But I'm going to go into Medicare for All in a little bit. I mean, in a little bit I'll do that, but I need to finish here with how this is right now. We have to be cognizant. We have to be cognizant of the devious ways corporations maximize the amount of money they make. And theoretically speaking, you cannot blame them. We have defined, or Supreme Court has defined, the responsibility of the corporation, the responsibility of the executives within a corporation is the fiduciary well-being. Their fiduciary responsibility is to the shareholder, the holders of the people who own the company. So all capital, those folks who own capital, right? They're the ones who control everything. They're the ones to whom we owe everything. We have codified that. We have codified that. And it is that we have to learn to get around. It is that we have to learn to get around. I'm going to be getting now into the Medicare for All portion. But before I do that, I want to run through the list of what people have had to say thus far. So we have, why don't you tell us what changed your mind? Renee, I need to, before I say that my mind is absolutely changed, Renee, what I need to do is I have to read Elizabeth's plan first. I also have to read the paper that my good friend, the doctor, just submitted to me. So I need to read them both. Let's see. Daniel Ledo says immoral. Renee Perpetua said bailing out banks was immoral. Renee, you are absolutely right. Lee Grant says eliminated student debt involves the taxpayer paying trillions to banks and other holders of the debt. Rene Perpetua, charging fees and predatory interest rates to students is immoral. You're absolutely right, Rene. They are kids trying to improve their lives. Yes, they are. And bankers chose to sell subprime mortgages. You're right. And they are reaping the benefits of the tax cut scam. Yes, they are. Joe Snyder, welcome aboard, Joe. I don't think I've seen your name on here before, but he says, many have no choice if they want an education and were told they would land a higher paying job if they got an education. The wages were not what was promised. The loan is not negotiable and has a very high interest rate. They are making huge payments each month and don't have enough to live on. They are not starting families, buying homes or cars. And you know, you're hitting on something that is very important, Joe Snyder, and that is, it is killing the economy because the housing market could be a lot more active. People could be buying a lot more washing machines and all these things if and only if they weren't saddled with the debt. And remember where all that money is going to, a whole bunch of rich bankers and the shareholders of those banks. So that is another way of aspirating money from the people who least deserve to be aspirated from. Okay, Rene, and we are still not protecting the 2020 election. That's exactly right. Michael Rudnin, pardon, need to leave early today. Catch you tomorrow. Oh, we're going to miss you, my dear Michael Rudnin. Daniel Ledo, again, a decision they made. Daniel Ledo, I mean, your empathy sometimes, I wonder. I wonder sometimes, well, I won't say that. That wouldn't be too nice. Okay, Rene Bezos paid no taxes last year. He sure did not. Daniel, why does PP get taxpayer money to murder? What? Okay, I'll leave that alone. What are you, let's see, the system is sick and corrupt. Rene, you're right. You rail against corporations getting away with murder? Well, I'm not even going to touch Planned Parenthood because that makes no sense. Lee Grant trying to keep track. Free college, free health care, reparations, debt cancellation. What did I miss? First of all, I hate, Lee, for real, that we call it free college. I want to call it pay it forward college. That's what I would prefer to call it. Because the Republicans are very good at making this look like, oh, everybody wants something for free, which is not people wanting things for free, Lee, not at all. Pay it forward college, because people that get their college paid for as they grow older and get jobs that pay more, they would have paid a hell of a lot more in college, in taxes over the several years that they make a higher salary, especially when amortized over time. Free healthcare, it's not free healthcare either. It's collective healthcare. I hate when they talk about it being free, because everybody who pays taxes spend a piece of the action for healthcare. That's what a lot of people don't understand. It is not free healthcare. It is free healthcare at the source. Free meaning when you walk in to get your service, you don't have to pay anything, but you would have paid taxes. And it's a much fairer system, because everybody who pays taxes has skin in the game. Everybody has skin in the game. Reparations? Now look, I don't qualify for reparations. I'm a black, Latino, Caribbean person from Central America. So reparation doesn't apply to me. But I tell you one thing, my people who came here never came here on a pleasure ship, neither in Panama, neither in Jamaica. Those are all the places of my roots. Panama, Jamaica, probably somewhere else on the islands as well. We didn't come on a pleasure ship at all. But reparations in America would do nothing for me. And reparations, I think, I had a very good discussion with a doctor in philosophy yesterday on reparations. I am for reparations, first of all. How to implement it, I don't know. But reparations are far overdue. The truth of the matter is the demise of, the difference in wealth of black people is directly related to having worked for free and not having been able to accumulate debt. And it even continued after slavery if we take redlining and all of that into account. Absolutely so. So I think it is important. It is very important for us to be honest. Reparations absolutely needs to be made. How to implement it? I have no idea how to implement it. Debt cancellation. Well, I think we covered that in already. All roads lead back to controlling women's bodies. That's right, Renee. Look, you'll never hear me try to do that. And I think any man who tries to do that should be called out and say, when you are able to carry a baby, then you will have a word. When you are able to carry a baby, then you can decide stuff for a woman's body. But right now, you're not going to tell me that you can impregnate me and decide to treat me as you will and then say you will carry my baby. That is ridiculous. That is slavery. Again, I repeat, that is slavery. No woman should be a slave. No human should be a slave. And if you tell a woman what she can do with her body, it is slavery. CDC, according to Mike Cisak, CDC and other government agencies say that number one reason for poverty of children and parents is single parenthood. They say marriage is the best thing for people to do. Yeah, if you can get married, okay. Now, I have some interesting things when it comes to different demographics on marriage and why marriage is difficult in very many different demographics. But a lot of times we'll have the Ledos and the CSECs just not having enough empathy to understand how deep systemic racism has affected not only marriage, has not only affected child rearing, has not only affected asset accumulation so much. Buying the right-wing Kool-Aid is sad. The good thing about it, I had a great guy on yesterday who really got it. Listen to yesterday's show. Listen to not yesterday, the day before yesterday, I think it was. Yesterday I had it at KPFT. The day before yesterday, I had this white guy on who has 2 black kids. Somebody, you guys, that think like Mike Cisak and Daniel Ledo should really listen to. You could learn a lot from that young man. Or that's not a young man, he's an older guy. He's older than I am. Okay, Daniel Lelo, you know what is evil, Egberto? Taking what someone worked for and giving it to someone who didn't work for. Let me tell you something, dude. If you think Bezos worked for his $160 billion, I have a bridge in Brooklyn to sell you. Bezos didn't earn that $160 billion. Bezos stole that $160 billion legally, of course, but he stole it legally because he accumulated that money off the intellect of others. He accumulated that money off the labor of others. René Perpatua says, don't follow your logic. Don't worry about it, René. That isn't logic, that is ideology. I think the problem is much deeper than that. It seems logic eludes you generally. Please don't be insulting to our people. Neither, just as I'm not insulting to you, I try to stay fact-based. René, the insult route becomes no one. That is correct, and you did do that. Okay, René, thank you, Egberto. Thank you, Lee. 20 years ago, that may have been an option. Today, people like Egberto and his disciples are trying to destroy America as we know it. I don't have the power to destroy America. What I do have the power to do is really humbly ask people to listen to what I have to say and to work with me and others who are in the progressive sphere to simply do what is best for us all. We have nothing. We want to do. We don't want to destroy America. We don't want to destroy anywhere. We don't want to destroy Russia. We want people to live. We want people to live a happy life. We want people to be free. That is what we want. It has nothing to do with destroying at all. So now let's get. Now that I've answered all those, talk about all the messages. Let me talk about. And here we need your help, people. The attacks are on Medicare for All. It's already on. And here's the problem. They have an infinite amount of money to spend on TV. So right now we have the soft commercials that are out. The first ones that are out is, you're sick, you need service now, and you have government taking over healthcare and no private insurance, and now you can't see the doctor, you have to wait. That is a commercial that's out there now. We don't have the money to come back and put those same commercials right after those commercials and say, right now private insurance is rationing your care. Private insurance is telling you which doctor you can and cannot see. Private insurance is charging you an arm and a leg. Private insurance is using deceptive practices to really take your dollar. They have this new deceptive practice of in-network, out-of-network. They start you in-network and get out-of-network people to see you. And then they don't pay the bill. And then you are left owing your life. That's what private insurance is doing to you right now. Private insurance is charging you an unlimited amount of money for services not rendered. Private insurance is paying for services that only private insurance can get away with. We have a whole lot of things to say about private insurance that is much worse. In fact, there's nothing bad about socialized medicine. There's nothing bad about Medicare for All. There's nothing bad about any of that. The only thing that we know about all those types of medicines is that you're not going to go broke. You are not going to go broke. But if you make one mistake in private insurance, if you have private insurance and you make one mistake, and you go to the wrong clinic, and you see the wrong doctor, or you signed a note while you are incapacitated in a hospital that somehow gets an out-of-network doctor involved in your care, you could be out tens of thousands of dollars that you are responsible for. And it's legal. Even with Obamacare, it is legal. Don't talk about private care. Don't talk about what you're getting with private care, folks. Everybody wants good care. And government is not some invisible entity. I want you to remember this. If we are paying twice as much as other countries for healthcare, and if the results out of our healthcare is worse than they are paying for, they're paying less and getting better results. We are paying more. We are waiting in lines. You go, if you doubt it, try to make an appointment with your specialist. Any specialist. But let's go a little bit further. Try to make an appointment with a specialist in your network and see how long you have to wait. The thing about it, though, is if we are not constantly telling our brothers and sisters this, my dear brothers and sisters, when they watch that stuff on TV, they get scared. Oh, my God, I'm going to have to wait. If we get social, and then I have no recourse. If we get Medicare for all, and the government is controlling, and I have to wait for, that's not it. Call any English person. Yeah, everybody's going to complain about something, but they'll never complain about going broke. They'll never complain about in an emergency being able to take care. They'll never complain. When I had my high blood pressure scare, 240 over 140, yeah, stroke material. I could have been dead. I should have been dead. The people when the medics came in the ambulance, they couldn't believe I was still they didn't believe I was not stroking out. 240 over 140. I guess it's because I work out so damn hard. 240 over 140. And after they got my blood pressure down to something like, I guess it was 220 over 120 or something like that, they said, okay, what hospital do you want me to take you to? And in my mind, it was like, hospital? Don't you guys do all of this automatically? You need my input. They don't. You tell us what hospital you want. Then I said, I just happened to say, by the way, how much is this going to cost me to take me to the hospital? I think they said something like $800 or something like that. And I said, wait a minute. And what if I get out of here and go on my own? Do you still charge me? They said, no, we can only charge you if we move you from here and take you there. I said, goodbye. And I went to the doctor myself, to the emergency room myself. I called my insurance company. I gave them the name of the standalone emergency clinic that I was going to. I asked them if that was a network. They said yes. I went to the clinic, and after going to the clinic, after 2 months, I got the bill. $5,000 for 2 pills and an MRI. An MRI I didn't add, I was coerced into taking to because they said, do you have a headache? I'm like, oh, just a slight one. They said, okay, we need to do an MRI. I didn't think I needed one, but they wanted to, so they were cautious. They did it. I got a bill for $5,000. I was in there less than an hour. Less than an hour, 1 little scan, and 2 little pills to bring the pressure down. That's American healthcare, private insurance. $5,000. When I called to complain about it, and I said, look, I tell you what, I'm going to make this national news if I have to pay you $5,000. The lady said, we don't care. It's $5,000. So all I said is, please do, before I go national on this, please let your manager know. And I guess the tonality that I took put a little kind of scare in her, and she went to the manager. And the manager called back and said, Mr. Willies, we are going to cut your bill in, for this time, 50%. Wanted to save face, 50%. I wanted it to be less than that. But you know what? I got the bill shaved at 50%. I went ahead and put it on my medical savings account to just pay the bill off and call it a day. A sick person should not have to go through these hoops for care. At your most vulnerable is when you're taken advantage of. They say, oh, it's the government fault because, you don't know the pricing. You need to shop around. You shop around for when you're sick? The problem is we try, in this capitalist system, we try to make everything a product. If you look at everything as a product, you don't see humanity. Oh, you need to see a doctor, shop around. See which one is cheaper. Everything we make a product. It's sick. That is utterly sick. Healthcare should not be a product. How is that a product? And that is what we do. That is what we do. So, I need your help. I need you to make sure and spread these videos. I'm going to also cut some of this stuff up into more manageable pieces. Because we cannot allow these guys to continue to lie to Americans, mislead Americans into believing that somehow if they decided that they really wanted Medicare for all, that somehow because we're getting the insurance companies the hell out of there. I'll tell you what, we don't want to get rid of the health insurance companies. We want them to do this. We want to define as a country what we're going to call a basic health care system and what we offer within that basic health care. and if you want to have petals on your bed, and if you want to have a red carpet that greets you at the front of the hospital, and if you want to have caviar when they serving you meals, and if you want to always have a private room with cable TV and all these great wonderful things, you can buy insurance that guarantees that. But for basic healthcare, which is all I want, I don't want to be in a hospital. I just want basic healthcare. Patch me up and get me the hell out of there and send me home. Let's give people that. Let's pay that out of general funds that we all pay. That's the Medicare for all that I'm looking for. That is what I want. That is what we deserve. Okay, I got 5 minutes to go ahead and try to see some more messages. And I love you all, folks, for all that you are putting in here. We have Daniel Edo. Excessive empathy is harmful and leads to bad policy. Yeah, that is exactly why I became a humanist, right? Because I solely worry about things that make humanity better, irrespective. I think humanity first. Secondly, I think about business. I want to think about humanity, and then you fit business around humanity. There's nothing that says business is ordained to operate the way we ordained. John J. Thies, Dr. John J. Thies. Actually, they are all Republican now. He's talking about the Dixiecrats, starting with Storm Thurmond, the Democrats of slavery and segregation, and their ideas have become the Republican Party of today. Listen to Dr. Thies. Dr. Thies is our preeminent historian and political science person out here, in this, not only in this forum, but around this damn state. So maybe you don't want to have a discussion with kind of casual, inarticulate, silly commentary, because he knows. He knows. Will I be able to get heart, lung, and liver transplant under M4 all Medicare for all? If we so desire, if we decided that we want, and based on the amount that we pay in healthcare right now, I'm pretty damn sure that will qualify, because the other countries that have Medicare for all do exactly that. So we'll see. Let me go ahead and answer this call here real quickly. 314, you're on.
Oh, no government-sponsored health care. Let people buy their own insurance.
Why? Why do you consider healthcare a product? Why is healthcare a product?
I don't think it's the absolute right neither. I don't think it's the absolute
my question,
right.
My brother. Let me ask you a question. I'm gonna ask it and then ask you to answer it. In America, we attempt to make everything a product. At some point, we have to think about humanity. Why should a sick person have to shop around, especially at their lowest point, to get the best price when you treat healthcare in a market system?
Well, they want to try to get the best and all the inclusive things that they would like to have. It's just like an automobile. You can get the bare bones, or you can add a lot of things to it, which increases the price.
You made my point. You're treating healthcare as a product, and that is inhumane.
Well, no, it's not inhumane. Some people can get by with generic drugs. Some people need. Some people don't like. There's generic vitamins. Then there's some people who like one a day.
Okay, so what I'm saying,
name brand.
So let me tell you what I'm saying, and I think if you listen to what I said before, my dear friend, you would see that that is exactly what I said. In other words, I think you're coming closer to me than you realize. Here's what I said. I said we should have Medicare for all and define what we call a basic healthcare system that everybody pays into. In other words, everybody, it comes out of general fund. Everybody who pays taxes, it's a progressive tax based on what you earn, etc., etc., etc. And I'll give I'm going to go over a little bit because I want to use you to expand.
Well, you can go over it, but I don't agree with that.
I understand, but let me finish.
I don't think if people work, they pay into Medicare.
I made you finish. Let me finish, and then I'd really like your response. What I ask you to do, Bianchi, is this, and this is important. And I'm going to make a little prose here. Earlier on, I was 100% for paying college off and also paying the debt off and all these things. And a professor gave me a reason to reconsider why I may be wrong. And as opposed to tying myself to my absolute progressive ideology, I decided I must listen to what he had to say. I'm going to ask you to listen to what I have to say here. And it goes as follows. we should have a basic healthcare first. We should define as a right. There's nothing that says we cannot or should not. It is an ideological reason to not call it a right. If you like human beings, if you believe that you cannot see a sick person just outright and die because they're poor, then you should support healthcare as a right. After doing healthcare as a right, you say, we are going to decide as a society what is a basic minimal healthcare we want to offer to people. Okay? And that basic healthcare plan may include things, just like you said, everything generic and basic healthcare to make sure people survive. No bells and whistles or anything like that. And all of that is paid for out of general funds that all of us pay into. And people say, well, this guy's paying less than the other. Yes. And the reason why that should not be a problem is we don't pay people based on their worth in society. We pay people based on the market-defined worth. A market-defined worth is not a human-defined worth. But moving further on to that is to say the following. If you want those bells and whistles that Bianchi can afford, because Bianchi is a rich businessman, and Bianchi wants to be pampered and Bianchi wants great treatment, Bianchi can buy that. Bianchi can go ahead and buy an insurance policy that says if Bianchi gets into the healthcare system and Bianchi wants pedals, Bianchi can have pedals on his bed and he can have a red carpet rolled out to get Bianchi into the hospital. Is there what's so wrong about that? I think that is a good balance, and I think that is fair, and I think that is humane.
I don't. I think it's wrong. I think that just like automobile insurance, which that would be next. I guess they're going to say that automobile insurance is a human right too.
No, again, one has to do with life and death, brother. But that's fine.
Oh, well, automobile insurance, to be able to drive an automobile can be considered as life because you got to drive out to a minimum wage drive.
Okay, Bianchi, you called a little bit at the end of the show, so I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask you, honestly, I really would like to.
No, you need to start putting more time on your show.
Well, I appreciate
it. You run it like a liberal.
Hey, you know why I appreciate you, man? I appreciate you because
and I see that you're saying that the economy is falling.
It is.
Well, I thought that it never got off the ground.
Okay, that's fine for you to think that. That's fine. But Bianchi, I got to go now, but I want to ask you a favor, Bianchi.
All right, bye-bye.
No, don't go yet. Hold on. I want to ask you a favor. You left. I hope you're still listening. The favor is this. Listen to exactly what I said and see if that makes more sense to you. Folks, look, we're going to go over about 3 minutes or so. I appreciate all of you. Love all of you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for having a healthy discussion. Thank you for not calling people idiots and fools and all that kind of stuff, because we don't do that here. I really very much enjoy our civility here, which is a good thing, and let's keep that up. Now, I must ask you one more time to please consider supporting Politics Done Right. I really do need your support. Please go to these different areas. I'm going to put it up on the screen right now. Please go to patreon.com/politicsdoneright to subscribe to our show. I mean, the subscriptions are cheap, $1.99 a month. If I could get 1,000 people to do that or a little bit more, we could get our equipment, we could do all of this stuff, we could get it better. We could make this a lot better. So I'm asking you to consider going to patreon.com/politicsdoneright and subscribe. Do one of our subscription. Or you can also donate regularly, donate as you please at politicsdoneright.com/donate. And buy some of our stuff. We store.politicsdoneright.com, and check this out. We already have what? Our Politics Done Right cup. You can get Politics Done Right t-shirts. You can get Politics Done Right cover for your cell phone, pillows, all that kind of stuff. Politics Done Right. Just to say we are going to go out there and do the work, man. We're going to go out there and change America. We're going to go out there and educate America. We're going to go out there and say, hey, guys, this is how things are really working. So I really need your help. Also, we have a GoFundMe that I need to get some equipment to take to. I'm going to have to go out on a limb and go and get it with the expectation that eventually you guys are going to really support me on the GoFundMe that I have for this thing. But please go to GoFundMe.com/independent-media-upgrade, and please contribute to that GoFundMe as well. Look, folks, it's also in the top of the link for this show. we really, really need your support. We have a lot of work to do between now and 2020, and we cannot depend on the debates. The debates tonight, I'm going and I'm going to ask people after the debate. I'm going to do a little interview after the debate with different folks that are listening to the debates, but we're not going to get a lot out of that at all. The debates are generally not substantive. They are just to make gotchas for the next day, to bring a lot of clicks out there. We are going to do the job. Not only Politics Done Right, but as we talk together at Politics Done Right and other places, we are going to get the job done. What we are going to do, friends, is after you listen to this show, you share this to other people. And you don't only share this to other people, but you also, as we learn together, you tell them how to discard what they're hearing on the mainstream media that's trying to fool them into doing things they shouldn't. We do all these things. We have to do this. We have power. The one thing they want you to believe is that you have no power. We have power if we ever decide to use it. But we can't have them neuter us. We can't have them make us afraid. We can't have them do any of those things. We have to look forward and we have to be bold. We can't be timid. We can't be scared to say we want Medicare for all and we're going to be timid about it because somehow the center isn't going to like it. People are saying Americans are not centrist. Americans are not center right. Americans are not center left. Americans are left. See the polls. See what they're asking for, people. See what you want. The things that you want. Even those Republicans that are here, if we offered the things that we want, and we know it's going to make their lives better as well, trust me, they are going to be there. Subscribe to Politics Done Right. Please go to patreon.com/Politics Done Right. Be a member. Help us continue to do this. I'm off to Philly in a couple weeks, and we're going to be broadcasting directly from Philly. And at the Netroots Nation, we're going to try to get some of the candidates out there, some of the activists, some of the regular people out there that are working their asses off in the fields. I can tell you about right here in Houston, so many activists doing so much good work. We have to do this, my friends. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you know how I end this baby. I am what? Out!
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.
1, 2, 3.